Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WNR Body Transformation Podcast. First of all, I extremely apologize for not uploading a video and a podcast for my dedicated subscribers and listeners out there. Why is that happening so? Is because I've recently hired a business mentor to help me with my business. So he's just told me to concentrate on a couple of things. So, yeah, long story short, I take complete responsibility for not planning my time wisely, although I did have time for that. So yeah, but like on today's podcast is going to be an interesting one. Today's podcast slash video is going to be an interesting one. And in case if you're listening to this, I'd highly suggest that you watch this video because you're going to learn a thing or two basically, right? I'm finally going to be ending my cut. I'm finally going to be ending my long-term 11 to 12 month cut. Never becoming a fat fuck ever again basically. But before we just get started, if you're watching this, listening to this, feel free to like, drop a comment below, subscribe for the algorithm. Just helps me get to more people out there basically. So yeah, for those people out there who are wondering why I'm wearing a hoodie, why I've got like a bit of a mohawk, right? It's gonna make sense to you, and it's nighttime, so hence I'm wearing the blue light blocking glasses. Please bear with me. But I mean, the content is, you get the point across, right? So yeah, I'm also going to be attaching some videos and I'm going to be demonstrating my point basically whilst I record this podcast slash video. So my photo shoot is almost about to, my long-term cut is almost about to end, and I'm running like a bit of a photo shoot on Wednesday 2 p.m. Dubai time. And like a week out, it makes more sense to peak. Now, what do you mean by peaking? Well, I'm gonna be answering this question, but before we cover this in depth, I'm just gonna put in a disclaimer that whatever mentioned in this video, whatever mentioned in this podcast, is solely for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you want to try any of this stuff, please do it at your own risk and consult with the physician before you try it. So yeah, now let's get things rolling. This is going to be a long-winded one, so I made a couple of notes. Excuse the messy notebook. Yeah, in order for me to drop body fat, basically, I've covered it in the past few videos, but I dropped the refeeds. The calories were reduced from 1500 to 1355. The step count was increased from 10k to 12k basically. So last 3 weeks have been pretty hard. That's where my mindset changed. Now, what were my macros around that time? 150 to 160 protein, 60 fat, and rest from carbohydrates. But for someone like me, having a low fat and a high carb and a high protein approach really helps me psychologically because it actually keeps me fuller. So that's what I was doing for the past, 3 to 4 weeks. And on training, I was still sticking to the same split 5 times per week. And like 3 to 4 weeks ago, I was still making progression inside the gym. But in the past 2 to 3 weeks, the strength began to drop. So around this time, I tried my best. I started stacking up caffeine, carbs, exactly around the training window so that most of the calories get shuttled in the right places or get used to the right places. The drugs that I was taking I started off with 40 micrograms of clenbuterol, but then I bumped it up to 80 micrograms. Well, not I, but my coach advised me. Then on top of that, this is for me, I also started taking mirabegron, 25 milligrams. These are aside from the supplements. I was still at 150 milligrams of test, microdosed, anywhere between 6 to 7 times per week. So I was not taking 150 milligrams every day, but I was like splitting into 25 milligram doses every 6 days. Or I was doing something like 20 milligrams from Monday to Friday, Saturday to Sunday. I was doing 25 milligrams. Now, like, injecting 7 days a week is a pain in the ass, so just to even things out, I just solely kept it at 25 milligrams 6 days per week. It doesn't make that much of a big difference. And I was taking 1.2 milligrams of retatrutide right now, and the calories are so low that I don't even feel the effects of retatrutide basically, right? And then other health related stuff that I was taking was L-carnitine, 300 milligrams. On top of that, I was taking GHK copper for good skin, good hair. As you can probably see, my skin, I don't know, it might be good, it might not be good. Helps with the elasticity of the skin. I was taking glutathione. How much was I taking? I was taking something like 750 milligrams per week. Glutathione doesn't do anything, but it's an antioxidant, so it just gives you good skin, good health, etc. And that basically was it, right? Every now and then I added in NAD+. NAD+ is also like an antioxidant, just like glutathione. So these were the things that I was doing. But on top of that, I also bumped up my caffeine intake like a fuckload, right? I bumped it up to something like 500 milligrams, not because of the benefits of caffeine, but it just helped me keep my hunger in check. Like, fuck me, the hunger was absolutely crazy basically, right? But besides that, even when I was at like 200 milligrams of caffeine, when I was like balls deep inside a diet, I kept on waking up 4 to 5 times a night just to pee, sometimes 6 times per night. But that's a part of the process when it comes to getting like lean, shredded, whatever you want to call it, right? My mindset was in check, right? If I nibble things here and there, I overestimated the calories the next day or the same day itself, knowing that I would nibble on maybe effervescent electrolyte tablets, which are probably like 4 calories, or like sugar-free stevia. Yeah, like that's the sort of shit that I would nibble on basically. What else? Yeah, activity levels, because you also want your expenditure to be high. Yeah, it's not only about the diet. So I was doing 12,000 steps plus 120 minutes daily fasted cardio. No, not 120 minutes. 120 minutes split into 5 times per week daily fasted cardio. That's something that I intend to keep in. And yeah, I was also using a standing desk on top of that, plus a 10 kilo weighted vest while I was walking. So that like the standing desk and the 10 kilo weighted vest is done by me. Now I'm sitting basically, and I'm going to be covering why I'm doing that. So this was my protocol, just to chip away the final few bits. Right now, what am I doing right now? A week out, okay, a week away from the shoot. So my coach sent me my check-in on a Wednesday, right? And he's like, all right, you might want to schedule in a shoot. So immediately I contacted the photographer, found a gym with good lighting, because lighting obviously makes like a good, huge difference. And what else? Yeah, he bumped up my calories to 1,755, mostly from carbohydrates. From starchy carbohydrates, whilst keeping my fiber at 25 to 28 grams. I tried pushing my fiber up to 30 grams, but my digestion was not functioning properly. So fiber basically gives volume to the stool, and if you drink enough water, like the fiber is gonna bind to the food which is supposed to be excreted, and fiber, the food which is supposed to be excreted along with the water, is gonna provide the bulk of the stool basically, right? So I bumped it down today to 26 to 25 grams. I kept my food sources the same, which I was eating previously. I'm not being flexible right now. So brown bread, potatoes, chicken breast, casein, eggs, that pretty much suits me, right? And peppers, tomatoes, onions, mushrooms. These are my vegetable sources. This week the vegetable sources are down because I want to consciously keep my fiber intake low, because I tend to tolerate low fiber. Training, I am doing, well, I backed out training, but day before yesterday I pulled in my yesterday I pulled in my leg session. If I was doing 3 sets, my coach suggested that I bump it down to 2 sets and leave like 2 reps in reserve. But I personally felt that the fatigue from the past few weeks was still there, as a result of which I was not able to push my training performance up. And that's a stupid idea to even do so in peak week, because if you go and train hard, there's going to be a lot of inflammation and stress related fluid accumulated within your muscle cells, which might affect and give you like a bit of a watery slash stressed out look basically. Then the drugs are more or less the same, but the only thing that's been added in is aldactone, which is a diuretic. It makes you flush out water. And my coach has 25 milligrams in the morning, 25 milligrams in the night. And what else? Yeah. And at the same time, the sodium is 5 grams and the potassium is 5 grams. Aldactone is potassium sparing. So yeah, don't ask me to dwell into the mechanism of it because I myself haven't understood and I'm being fascinated by it. I've been reading the bodybuilding books, so that's something that I'm going to be covering way later. Right, this is just the start of my enhanced bodybuilding journey. Mindset, I feel much more chilled out. Although, from what I know, like a lot of people in peak week are supposed to take low stress. My stress levels are actually pretty much controlled. I feel much more calmer with more food. Sometimes I tend to get snappy, but when I was in a deficit, fuck me, I used to get angry. But I was very mindful about it. So mindset is more of like I'm chill, I'm using the extra time to work in the business, produce more content. Also watch some movies, right? Plan my Vietnam trip, play some video games. It feels weird because someone like me is not used to that. Someone like me is always used to working. And then I'll probably go on a holiday and then like lose my shit on weed and alcohol and women basically. Right? This time, when I go to Vietnam, I'm probably just gonna do things in balance, right? Because I plan my trip, I'm gonna be taking my meals along with me. I'm gonna be documenting that as well. My activity has been bumped down to 10k steps and I have gotten rid of the standing desk and the 10 kilo weighted vest for time being till the fatigue wears off. Right, sleep has gotten so much more better. I just wake up something like once or twice in the night, right? And just to further stack things up, I've started adding in delta sleep inducing peptide because that puts you in a super restorative state of sleep. It's got no side effects. And yeah, it doesn't, like, I just use it sparingly on weekends, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that basically is it. Like, with regards to preparation, right, preparation is a bit of a pain in the ass. As you can probably see, I've gotten like a nice little haircut. I'm gonna get like a bit of a mohawk. I've selected the shots that I want to do. It makes more sense for you to practice your posing like a couple of weeks out. And something like 4 days ago, like 4 days before the shoot, which was yesterday technically, what I did was I trimmed my entire body, had my mom help me at the back of the thighs, right? She didn't see me naked. She's nice enough to help me out. In fact, my mom and my dad have been like, so sometimes during the prep I've been like a bit of an absolute dick to them, right? But it's far better compared to the past few preps, and no, that's not funny. But this time I was relatively a bit more calmer, although I could have done a little bit more better. So to compensate for that, not only to compensate, to spend some time to fix the relationships, etc., I'm going to be taking them out for like a bit of a free meal. Like a bit of a family meal, as I tend to not spend that much time with the family because I'm constantly working, doing bodybuilding, etc., or on my business. So I trimmed my body with a trimmer and I used a shaving blade. Then I bought Pro Tan. I'm going to be attaching the image right here. In the past, I would be tanning with the help of a professional tanner, but they do it from a beauty perspective, but right now I'm doing it from a bodybuilding perspective. So I bought this product known as Pro Tan. It basically consists an overnight base coat. Depending on how dark you want to be, it makes more sense for you to do multiple base coats, right? Multiple days away from your photo shoot. And then the day before the shoot, it makes more sense for you to do pre-stage tan, put some put some of that shiny liquid, and that basically is it. So yeah, I shaved my head and got like a bit of a mohawk. I'm gonna be styling it. Same food sources, peptides are gonna be the same. Caffeine intake slowly and steadily in the past 1 week has been tapering off from like normal coffee. I've switched over to decaf coffee. I've switched over to teas. The Monster still remains because Monster is the OG. But tomorrow and day after tomorrow, I'm going to be getting rid of the Monster just to avoid any GI related stress. Tanning, my mom's going to be helping me with the tanning. Video attached over here. Post-show free meal. Now, with regards to this, I'm going to be having a high sodium free meal because aldactone makes you deplete sodium. And please don't quote me on this, I might be wrong. So, it's going to be a mutton seekh kebab plus Afghani bread plus a high sodium dessert, like, I don't know, maybe like a bit of an ice cream. And that basically is it. Next day, we straight up get back and not binge. In the past, I would probably binge for like 2 days and undo all my work. That's not good. And physique and personal goals moving ahead. Well, I want to continue being a bodybuilder. In fact, I want to take my physique to another level while still staying on the lowest possible dose, but also slowly and steadily titrating it up. Preferably with more food and more training and less drugs. But if needed, yeah, fine. We'll do it. Because at the end of the day, I want to be a fucking good coach. Right? If you're a really good coach, you're going to attract good quality clients, basically. People who get things done. When I was a not so great coach, I just simply attracted people who were, I just want to lose weight, and they wouldn't do shit. Right? Now I relatively attract better compliant clients, and I actually genuinely love just being a bodybuilder. Like, even though I don't look like one exactly, but it's slowly and steadily beginning to get there. And personal goals. I just want to be the best possible version of myself. That basically is it. Mentally, physically. And yeah, that basically is it. People, if you found this useful, feel free to like, share, subscribe, drop a comment below. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. I hope all your dreams and desires come true. Have a nice one.